Welcome to the Youngblood Podcast. My name is Joshua Clifton, and I'm here with two great friends. ADORN is the name of your band. You've had one show up to this point, right?
Yeah.
All right.
At this point, yeah.
Just Austin and KALEN, their names are somewhere right in here. Their social medias. If you want to, you should follow that. You should follow that. Mastering, producing, and the badass band ADORN. All right. And I say we, your friend circle, this scene and everything, I want to say we've been waiting for this for some time.
Yeah, it's been a minute. For sure.
This has kind of been a little bit of a growing process of you writing songs, finding the right people. Let's get into that a little bit. If you haven't heard of ADORN, you're about to, and I need you to pay attention because a lot of work. I know I said they only played one show, and we'll get into this, but it's so much more than that. Okay, let's start from the beginning, KALEN. When did you have the idea for this band?
Yeah, it was at this point the first thought of the band, not really like getting into anything like foundational other than just an idea or concept. It was almost 3 years ago now. It was the worst time to be thinking about starting a band after you have your first kid. It was definitely within the time frame. So like Carson.
That being said, I mean, you made a person. You thought I could do anything.
That's true. But no, it was definitely, I had the itch to start something fresh and new. I had a previous band called Fever Youth that was active for a few years, and all still doing stuff with Ravenhill. Love Ravenhill, but I wanted something that was.
Yeah, we should probably say that.
Yeah.
He's still in Ravenhill. Yeah. I haven't mentioned that at all. He's also, golly, I was like, yeah, he's in Ravenhill. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Ravenhill doing his thing, awesome, love it. But I wanted, I see Ravenhill as like you are the conduit for that band. I feel like in my role in that band is to take the information and the creativity and the art that you bring to the table, and then I try to help mold it into something, help make it a reality. That's the way I kind of see it.
If you allow me to say this, KALEN has been nothing but gasoline on so many fires in this music scene and everything. But the one thing I've seen is like there's something that even whenever you were doing Fever Youth and you were there was a show that you sang.
Yeah, gosh,
I thought that was so freaking good, dude.
Oh, thanks, man.
But that's when I saw like you were doing something. It's the same way I felt whenever I was getting Ravenhill started. It's the same way I think a lot of us feel when we believe in something. And there's you can do art, you can make great art like you have with Fever Youth and other bands in this area, including Ravenhill. But sometimes you still got a fingerprint that you got to put out there, and I think this is it for you.
Yeah. I wanted something that was, from my influences and influences of my friends and stuff like that to mold into something new that I felt was. I helped build the foundation for it. Because I feel like I've joined a lot of bands over the years. Fever Youth I did help create from the ground up. But that evolved into its own thing, which was cool. But I wanted something that I felt was truly, organic turn it into something rad. So that was the initial. The funny thing that I want to get into is like with Austin coming into the picture down the road, like the initial vision was very different than what it evolved into.
Yeah, having been along the ride, kind of on the sidelines, but hopefully supportive of you kind of demoing this out and figuring out where it was going and everything. It was so cool whenever someone would join that with you, the right people.
Yeah.
How you allowed them and to kind of take control, add their thing to it, and it would become these whole new things, which is what the Youngblood podcast is all about. It's like how creative people that put in the work and care make art together.
Yeah, it was very much like the initial idea was me and my friend Jordan, who he and I were in Fury together, and we were kind of wanting to start this new thing together, like a new kind of offshoot of that band. It was supposed to be like a much like heavier, more metal, like Fever Youth was pretty heavy, but we wanted to take that step further. That was the initial idea. But it's very much different from that now, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I love what it has evolved into, and it is the right thing, and it happened organically. It wasn't forced, and I think that was a big thing as people kind of came on board. We got the right ingredients. It's like there was a certain amount of musical trust that would like everybody, like Austin's vocals. It's like that his one thing I love is like the lyrical content. It's you do what you do with this song, and I know it'll be right.
Right, yeah. So let's go to you, Austin, for a second, because you came in and you very much have. I've used the word fingerprint like 3 times tonight while we've been hanging out, but
sure.
Yeah, but like you have put your own little fingerprint on to where it still feels like your song, but then you and they interact so well together.
They do. I think KALEN and I have this beautiful fundamental understanding of the sound that we're going for.
Yeah, sonically, it's
sonically, and it was sort of kind of unspoken. I think we didn't really have like an explicit like we want to sound like this discussion. It was like, oh, well, here are the ideas, and he sent them my way, and I just was like, okay, this is the sound I've been looking for ages, so I'm gonna see what I can do with it. And I had been sitting on some stuff for a while, and so I took a stab at it. And I remember the first song that I wrote to and sent over a demo of was one called Diving Bell. And I remember when I got the initial reaction back from that, I knew. I was like, I've landed onto something here, and I'm gonna go for it.
Oh yeah, it was 2 things. Like when I first heard it, I was like, this is so much different than I initially thought, but it's so much better. And like it was funny because when Austin came into the fold, we had a Dropbox folder of a whole bunch of demos that were, like I said, more metal, more like, metalcore tinged, whatever you want to call it. It was more of that vibe, which is great. I love that type of thing. But we're like, okay, how many of these demos work in this context? It's like obviously if we go with Austin, this is a new direction. It's like, so are we cool with scrapping like 90% of what we've come up with already? Right. To kind of hit a little bit of a reset button, but it'd be totally worth the work. And ultimately, that's the conclusion we came to.
100%.
And it was the right call. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Austin, what did you feel like, if you don't mind me asking, as far as like coming into a project that someone like KALEN, and not all of us are so gracious to hand over art and go like, hey. So what was the weight of that? Because did you know that this was almost 3 years in the making while he was writing this?
I had a sense of that. I didn't explicitly I don't think I fully understood the balance coming right into it. It seemed a little more like a shared thing with Jordan and with Ryan Bentley as well. But it quickly became clear to me how much of this was KALEN and how much of this was his to use your words, fingerprint.
Yeah. Well, let's find a new analogy soon. We're getting the sources ordered
definitely.
right now.
But it became important to me very quickly that I needed to do it justice, and I needed to really give it my absolute best.
Well, it was clear. Even I might be too bold to say this. Maybe I didn't get the first rehearse. I think you sent us something that he had done.
Yeah, I think it probably was Diving Bell.
I want to say it probably was.
Yeah,
and
pretty sure.
I remember thinking that because I don't know if we had necessarily met yet, or if it was like in passing. If it was, and I remember thinking, whoever this dude is, one thing's for sure, he's taking this very seriously with absolute respect, which is for one of my best friends to be making this art and seeing him painstakingly going through the process of making good art, because that's what it takes. I was like, golly, I mean, like, I just hope he finds the right vocalist. The right vocalist mattered.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm glad
100%.
he did. Glad he did.
That is always the hardest ingredient to throw into the recipe, I guess.
Yeah, because you can have plenty of good vocalists or great vocalists, but are they the right one?
Yeah, it has to have a shared vision. And I think to give credit where credit's due as well, it's like I feel like Jordan and Ryan, who are no longer a part of the project, they which we can get at that a little bit, but they were. Jordan was the first one I kind of started this idea with, and we recruited Ryan Bentley, and great friends of mine, amazing.
Two great legends of the DFW scene, and even out of that, but outside of that, but definitely very, very well respected gentlemen.
And there's songs that we're still playing that Ryan wrote like the foundational core of it, and then we just took it and helped. And he was gracious when he stepped away. There still is one song he took with him, which is perfectly fine because he wrote it pretty much from start to finish.
That's probably awesome.
And it was great. And so it was tough to lose that one, but
yeah, that one was a good one.
I might buy it from him. I have no shame saying that because it was good.
No, seriously, we actually should consider doing that.
Yeah, so good. But
what's the name, working title of that song? So if it ever pops up,
that's actually a very funny story.
You hear Logan? Did you laugh? Were you laughing?
I don't think I can.
You're not
allowed
to laugh unless you're on camera. Just at least pop in one time before this. I won't even mention what you do in this band unless you show up, just for a second. I'll do something different. All right, never mind. Your mother knows what you just did right now. I'm so sorry. Golly.
I don't know if I even can say the initial.
Oh, it's that?
Title of the demo.
Okay.
No, not that it's explicit. It's in German.
Oh.
It's like
okay. Well, any German.
We called it V demo for the longest time because it's a German word that said, like he said, the meaning behind it means like no matter how hard I try to make something better or to fix something, I only make it worse. So it's like I don't know. I couldn't even attempt it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even remember the word. I just remember it started with V.
Yeah. I'd have
be
to
on the lookout.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Viherschirmmischkum. I don't know. I can't even. I don't even know.
Our German friends.
Yeah,
we're sorry.
Yeah, dude, so sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
you just insulted all of them.
Not to harp on a song that might never exist or could exist.
Yeah.
But that was cool. And honestly, that initial demo, as funny as it was, that was kind of like a good barometer for us to jumping off.
Build off.
Yeah, it wasn't like,
oh, we like this and we play well in this area. Let's go from here.
Yeah, and it kind of off that song, I know, spurred a song called "Pass the Pulse."
That's right.
And that was again, and I feel like that was really the first one where we were like, okay, this is something cool is happening here, and we're starting to kind of find our footing a little bit.
Yep.
And then you sent the song, which we can get into a little bit later, but the song we're actually releasing first is one you actually built the foundation of, which
Correct.
is really cool.
Yeah, that's right.
And so all that to say, there was a lot of, well, I feel like my hand was, is in all of it a fair amount, but there was a lot of cool ideas. Even another song, The Brave and Blood Defiant, that initially was a demo that Logan wrote.
That's right.
Like that.
Who is that?
Yeah, I don't know who that guy is.
Who is Logan?
Oh my gosh, Mrs. Gavaldon. I just don't know what to say. I'm like, we're working, we're trying, we're working on them. Go ahead, guys.
So I was very adamant. One, I mean, almost out of necessity too, because my schedule, becoming a new father, and just like the demands that brings into your life, and not having as much time to just sit in front of my computer and just riff away. I was like, just give me ideas that I can see if I can, as a jumping off point. And so we got a couple really solid demos from Austin that really turned into cool songs, and from Logan, and you know, some older stuff that I pulled from, and even from Ryan as well. So it's cool to see what's evolved into, but it definitely pulled from a lot of places to get the ball rolling.
Let's talk about your first single real quick.
Yeah.
You talked about it's called Voyeur, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when is it coming out?
It's coming out this upcoming Friday.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that the date is
October 11th.
October 11th. Cool. Austin, you made this demo, so this is cool because this is where it went. It's a good part where you were kind of driving this thing with the help of members that are no longer in the band for the most part.
Right.
And then there was a transition. Who's in the band now? Let's make that step into the.
So yeah, Ryan, Jordan, and I initially started, and we I think you reached out to Jordan initially, right? It was like through Instagram or something like that, or I try to remember. I know he came to me saying like, "Hey, Austin Gordon, you know him," and he's like, he's.
Oh, that's not how it happened. Here's how it happened. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was like, it was definitely a DM between Jordan and I. I don't know if he reached out to me or if I reached out to him.
Okay, cool. Well, I know that a connection was made, and I remember distinctly. My wife and I were driving back home from. I think you and I actually went camping out in.
Royce City?
Royce City, yeah. It was around that.
We were in a hot tub earlier that day too. What's up?
Yeah. But we were driving back from that, and
Started hiding
then
carrots and potatoes. So just simmer there. Sit there for a second.
Making a stew.
Go ahead.
And Jordan told me that you'd reached out or you connected, and I started listening to your acoustic stuff, and I remember that you had out at that point in time.
That's right,
your solo
yeah,
artist.
That's
first
crazy.
record.
Is that long ago?
Yeah, it's that long ago. And then Michelle was like, "Dude, his voice is great." I was like, "I know." She's like, "If he's saying on your stuff, I think like." She's like, I would even like it. Cause it's
Michelle's got great taste, especially in singers.
That's a compliment.
She does, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, because the joke is,
And a guitarist, clearly. Sorry, who the hell am I? Like, especially singers, like, damn.
No, so and so I was like, okay, cool. You know, I was like, I think there's some real potential here. So that evolved into Austin coming into the fold. And then I reached out actually to Logan's brother Aaron initially because we were looking for a drummer.
Austin, you were on board before Logan? No, that's about the same.
Okay. Oh, you're right. Yeah. You were. Logan was definitely first before Austin.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
I got your back.
And
like
I remember, you're. So before Austin, kind of been around the same time, but a little bit before.
Right.
We were looking for a drummer, and so we reached out to
Aaron Gavaldon,
who's a great drummer.
past guest. We'll have to have him back on here.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna mumble on this microphone for a second. Go ahead.
And I think it was around the time he was starting to do stuff with Begotten. So I
That's
reached out
right.
to him, and he was like, "No, I'm busy." He was like, "But my brother plays drums, and he's really good." I was like, "Sick." So we had Logan record. We reached out to Logan. It's like, "Hey, can you just record some drums to a demo we were working on?" Which is not one of our songs at all, and it was insanely difficult.
Yeah.
I remember, he killed it. He did a great job playing drums on it. But man, I remember that song was just, it was a doozy. So
That's how Logan started playing with Ravenhill. He joined your band, this band first.
Yeah, he joined,
And then he came over here.
And then we needed a drummer for Ravenhill. I was like, hey, this band's still,
I snatched him up.
we're still trying to get things going, but do you want to play shows right now? It's
Imagine you can work on a passion project while playing in another band.
Yeah.
That's what we offer.
So that
And
that
1/5
worked
of
out.
that.
And then so that group was the initial lineup, and then things definitely took a minute to evolve and stuff. And I think it got to a point, partially because just scheduling it and just life in general. We all were moving at a certain pace, and I think Ryan and Jordan, they wanted it to be a little bit more accelerated than I was able to help produce at the time, which is totally fair. And it kind of came to this kind of point where we're like, I think we're trying to we definitely want to continue on this thing, but I think we're moving at two different speeds here. And I think what's realistic is for me to stay at this pace, and I know you guys are one. So it kind of just became an amicable split at that point. And then literally like months later, Jordan got hooked up with Corey Kent, which is a country artist.
Yeah.
And now he's touring the nation. Played
spots.
Red Rocks not long ago.
I know.
Guy's killing it. So
That's right.
so
check out
the
Jordan
timing worked out well for him too. So I think it was the right call. And a project I help out with Johnny. He and I actually are playing guitar together in that project too. So yeah, all good buds.
Too.
But
I'm gonna be shouting out so many bands because you're so connected. You started this band and then you picked up the drummer. What drummer? Let's talk about your drummer.
yeah, well, Logan was playing drums initially, but with losing Jordan and Ryan, Logan's also a great bass player and played bass in other bands.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm not trying to knock you out of your drum seat, but I knew of Ray Rose, is a friend of mine who played drums in Fever Youth.
And Ravenhill.
And Raven. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's playing.
Continue.
So I was like,
asterisks in the top left corner every time that person also played with Ravenhill.
it's so many.
Right. Go ahead.
No, it's like
We're the world's band.
Yeah, pretty much. Ray, I reached out to Logan and I was like, hey, not trying to. If you want to play drums, that's your spot. But I have a friend Ray who's also a great drummer. If he could come in and play drums and you move the bass, that I think would work out well. And Logan was like super down. He was super cool about it, and is killing it in the bass realm. And so we got that happen. And then literally within the same day, I guess Eric, our good buddy Eric, who has played live with Ravenhill at times before, who also plays in the band Words.
Giant asterisk.
Yeah.
There.
He plays with Words with myself and Johnny Gore.
Yeah. Simply Leslie.
Yeah.
Dave Jones. Go listen to his stuff.
He texted me like the same day. He's like, hey, if the guitar spot's open, I'll jump on it. I was like, cool. So within a day we had the new lineup that's still current. So all that to say.
I wanted to make sure before we got to your first single that we talked about who's in the band so we can start.
And they're all great.
Yeah.
And
everyone. And this is, if I can talk about your first show, I know I keep teasing the first single and we'll get there. But that's why I think this first show wasn't our first show. It was your first show because no one had ever seen Adorn, but every single one of you are such seasoned veterans at what you do. You do what you do very well, confidently, like you've been doing it for 10,000 hours, and you have. And so it's so cool to see a well-oiled machine the first time you see it. And I know there were probably hitches or whatever. It didn't seem maybe in the moment. Maybe it did, but maybe it felt chaotic or quick or whatever. But you should be very proud of that show. It was very good. And you could tell that you guys had an opportunity, you took it, and you knocked it out of the park.
I would completely agree with that. I actually am very, very pleased with how that show went.
Yeah.
Just the way it all came together, and all of us really, once we got going through that first song, I could tell we were in lockstep with each other, and it really just, it felt like we were on autopilot, really.
Yeah.
And the reception was so overwhelmingly positive that it just put a lot of juice in the tank away, I think, for us, and gave us the momentum that we were looking for.
Something that made me, I was already a believer in you, you guys. I mean, I don't want to sound like I wasn't, but sometimes you believe in your friends until you see the product because you believe in what they've done in the past or they earned. I mean, they don't have to earn anything. We should respect everybody, but you know what I mean. Like I feel like I've invested, if nothing else, encouragement, and hopefully so much more into this band before I even saw it. And then you see it, and that's cool. But when you hear other people in that crowd saying things that you want an audience to say, like, what's your name? Like asking what your name is. That sounds so stupid, but I mean, how many times I wish the people we played in front of asked our name because they wanted to remember what they just saw. That's what was happening there. There were people saying to each other, these guys are awesome. Like, I mean, like you guys, they weren't saying it to anyone but their friends. And that's what you want. You did what you came there to do. And it was awesome and badass. And it made me proud to be your friends. So,
appreciate that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I mean, you did it well, and I hope people take note. You've got now a scene that's chomping at the bit for a first single.
Yeah. The goal initially, the hope was to have the first single out for that show, but that show accelerated things significantly. Like our first show.
Yeah, you weren't on pace to put it out this soon, right?
Yeah, our first show was supposed to be this October 11th show. That's technically the first one schedule-wise that we had booked, and we felt like, okay, it's a good introductory first show. But then, I say within a week or two, last minute, we got the opportunity to open for Seosin.
We didn't even say that. They got to open up at Trees, the legendary Trees in Deep Ellum, opening up for Seosin, and
which is like fights for one of my top favorite bands of all time. Right. So it's like, so it was definitely on a personal level, like dream scenario. And that also like that added to the fire, but also added to the pressure too. Cause I was like, okay, we got to come in and be ready, even though we don't have near as much time as we thought we were going to have to prepare. So everything, we worked well under pressure, but there definitely was a pressure there. So, and I, like Austin said, I think so happy with how it went. I think the work we put in really ended up showing, and there's definitely been shows I've played where I put in the work and I don't feel like it was well represented. Totally. And that could be kind of a buzzkill, and that's what, for me, the pressure was even greater given the band that we were opening for.
Well, you knew the magnitude of what you were doing too. I mean, how
right.
many times have you gotten the opportunity to play for one of your favorite bands of all time? Maybe never to that magnitude, right?
Yeah, it hasn't happened to me up until that point.
Right.
And so
and then it's your band's first time.
It is the first show.
On top of that, it'd be one thing if it was a band you've been a band for 4 or 5 years,
right,
or even a year, and you're like, oh, we finally worked our way up, and now we get to open up for say
that's right,
or Emery or Under Oath or whatever, and now it's your first show. I think, hey, and big shout out to Third String, right?
Orlando really hooked it up on this one for us because it was something I asked about probably a month before, asking if there was any local support spots. And at that point in time, he was like, no, there's not. It's just going to be them doing their thing. It's just a super long set. And I was like, well, if anything opens up, let me know. Yeah. And eventually...
Solid dude hitting you up after that.
So I appreciated his follow-up. And we had nothing...
online.
Yeah, we had nothing online, and he was like, hey, it's like, say they're asking for, like, I don't know if it was, I doubt it was the actual band. I'm sure it's just their management or something like that. They're like, we need some evidence that this band is a legitimate band for us to say, okay, we can put you on the show. And I was like,
fair enough, right?
And I was like, dude, totally. I was like, here's some pre-production demos I can offer you.
That's so good. But he dug it, right?
Yeah.
He listened to it and was like, yes.
And I was like, he was like, can you just do a quick write-up about you guys? And I did, typed out something super quick, and I was like, here's what I had to offer you. It's like, if it's not sufficient, understand. Full respect. Mm-hmm. But here you go.
Can we take a time out real quick?
Yeah.
Imagine he goes... Yeah, just not enough, man. I'm sorry. I'd love to put you guys on there. And how bummed.
Yeah.
You would just been like, oh man, we could have opened up and say.
Yeah. That means
there's another world out there that didn't happen for you, and that is a bummer.
I mean, personally, that was my expected result.
Exactly.
So,
like I would have understood.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have just. I mean, I would have been disappointed, but at the same time,
what a crazy outcome.
Yeah, it was.
Golly, that's awesome.
Insane.
Yeah,
This will be great for the documentary in 10 years. Go ahead.
when Kalen put it through the chat, we got accepted. I was like, is this for fucking real?
Yeah.
That's how it felt for sure.
You're like, come on, man.
Yeah, but all that to say, that's what made the end result that much more satisfying.
Right.
Yeah, I felt like I was on cloud nine for like days after the show because they just it went the way it couldn't have gone better.
Right.
The reception was awesome. The payoff was huge. So then it's like okay, then they keeping the momentum going and then like do the next thing. And so so we're excited to play this emo night, and we got the first single dropping the same night, Voyeur.
Called Voyeur.
Yeah.
Which, Austin, you brought to the table.
I did.
At least a bare bones or a demo of it, and then you guys put it together.
That's
and
right.
I've heard it. Go ahead. That's my review. I don't know how you quantify that, but you're welcome.
I think it was just that one was an instrumental. I know you had vocals in your head for what you were going to do.
Yeah, I knew exactly what I was going to do on the verse and chorus already, but I just sent you an instrumental. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, this has a lot of real potential. And then I just I went through it, and I was like, okay, here's my take of this. And then Ryan and I built a foundation, and we also would set up writing sessions from time to time over Discord. And I remember that was one that we actually fleshed out some of it, like the bridge and a few sections. Like I had audio movers up, basically so they could all hear my audio in my session over Discord. And in real time we could get feedback. And I was just sitting there with the guitar, kind of like
trying to build it right there with them, kind of listening and loading and playing.
It's as best we could do. Like, not everybody having in the room, being in the room is the next best thing. Yeah, that worked for our schedule. So we did that from time to time, and did, some cool stuff came out of it. So that was, I remember that.
That's awesome because that probably helped move the needle on this. Having busy lives. We all have busy lives, and so for something this cool to come out, that's another thing that's neat. Like you guys are like chipping away at this thing any way you can to make it, because I get the question all the time, how are you a family man or have any type of relationship or work outside and still make great art sometimes? And you just got to find the way. And you guys found a way to get
You have to will it into existence, man. It's just like you have to want it to exist so bad.
And not take any shortcuts either. And you didn't take any shortcuts. You got rid of 90% of your catalog because you found the right guy. You know what I mean? And you made the right decision. But I could see you looking at that mountain of demos and time and go, what was all this for?
Right.
And say, maybe that means he's not the right guy. And it's just awesome to see the Seosin thing happen.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It definitely
the making the right decision and going with Austin, even though there were probably other people like maybe that guy, maybe this guy, different guys that might have sounded fine, but didn't sound like ADORN.
Right.
And what you were wanting to do. And that was even a mystery to you because you had no idea that's where you were going.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even have a name at that point. Like there was no conceptualization of what this was. It was we were just going.
You were
and that was a challenge for a long time.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, I just want to. It's like there's moments. It's like I want to see the end result because I want to just reverse engineer it and figure out how to get there. There was definitely a lot of moments where I was having major imposter syndrome.
Yeah, identity crisis of like, where am I going with this?
Yeah,
Is it even? And I can't imagine with the not seeing even the next few steps in front of you, going like, is this even worth it? Like,
that's right.
Is it like we're putting on? So I remember you, if I could be so bold, I remember you saying that your wife saw the show and she understood. or
Yeah.
at least you felt like maybe she understood why I worked so hard at this.
Yeah, I think she's been to, you know, shows here and there.
So many. So many as far as.
But especially as far as we started having kids,
Right.
most time is like me just going to shows, she watching the kids at home.
That's true,
And she hadn't seen me playing a band on a show at this scale, which I mean, I haven't played a show this scale in a while.
It was sold out, right?
Yeah.
Sold out show at Trees.
And so it
Awesome.
was an opportunity for her to see it, the end product. Like all she sees is like me staying up late, not sleeping, trying to get demo ideas that might be a song out or something like that. That's the side she sees. She never sees the fun side, the cool side. Yeah. And so her getting to see that, she was like, I get it now. And it's like, and and the end result is like, she's not, I mean, she's always been supportive, but it's like, there was definitely a fire to the support, because she's like, okay, I see what the potential it has and what it is now. And so that was an amazing thing for me personally. That was so cool.
Well, who knew that she probably even had a say in encouraging you to go, that's the guy.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that definitely.
At least she's not a liar.
she's not a liar.
She did like it. She goes, maybe I'd even listen to it.
Yeah.
Hey, way to go to not marrying a liar.
Hey,
good job.
Yeah.
That's the real story of this podcast.
Don't marry a liar.
Michelle's the winner. Don't marry a liar.
That's right.
Go ahead. Okay, so Boyer comes out this Friday. Probably by the time you're listening to this, you can go listen to it. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, because maybe they won't, but they shouldn't have to. I will. It would help us so much if you do like the song, or if you know someone that does like the song, share it. It's so easy to share a good song.
Yes.
And so I listen to almost everything people send me. My friends, I'll listen to that first. Even more so than any algorithm tells me. If one of my friends tell me, hey, you should check this out, I think you like it, I'll listen to it. So please go find ADORN, ADORN, and you'll see a Boyer up there. And go stream that, pre-sale it, whatever, wherever status you are. And you produced this, you mastered it.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, KALEN produced and mixed, and I mastered it.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've really, I feel like, found a good working relationship in that regard. And I was, at least, I don't know if I've said this out loud too much, but in my head, I'm like, we're the most unintentionally DIY band ever. So it's like,
that's absolutely true.
And I think it's like, part of us is like, I just don't want to spend the money, but two, I think it's like we're far enough down the road. I don't want to say old. I might be, Logan's not old. I'm older. But we've done it long enough to where it's like we've had enough reps to where we're semi-proficient in our abilities as far as like producing and mixing and stuff and mastering.
Even video and everything else. You could do, why not do it?
The amount of trust that we have in every member of this band, and I wanted to focus on this too, is like the guys that we have. Again, no shade on anybody who's been a part of it prior, but it's like the guys that we have in the band right now. Like we went to dinner after we played the show and hanging out. It's like, man, it's just such a healthy, good vibe.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I don't like throwing out like good vibes all the time, but it's like, it really is like we feel like we work together well, we communicate well, and it's a very positive. If there's criticism, it's constructive, and we're working towards something. And it never feels like there's no egos involved in it, and there's just a trust in each individual person's abilities. It's like, Logan with the photography, videography, behind the scenes stuff that is so important, and Austin's mastering abilities and vocal talent, and me doing producer stuff and mixing, and both Ray's and Eric's just musical prowess. Like, there's so many times.
Say prowess.
There
I
you
had
go.
prowess right there. Golly, and jokes.
There.
Both of them. Hang out with them for 5 minutes.
Dude, yeah. They bring a good time, but also it's like there's so many times where like Eric is You know, I know guitar theory okay, but it's my ear is always first. Like if I'm looking at a piece of music or analyzing it, my ear is like faster in the foot race. Before I can get, my mind has to play catch up to understand what's going on. My ear goes there first. Where Eric, I can like, hey, it's in this key. I need a progression that can help. And he's like, oh, let's try a 2-6-4 with a minor, whatever. He'll throw out that his brain thinks in that way, which is very different from me. And that's so helpful to have a different perspective. And then Ray, just like anything you throw at him, he's gonna kill it. And I think we need to talk about him recording, even though he's not here. Okay. We have to brag on him a little bit. Because there were moments, it is no joke, songs that he was recording, it was the first time he was sitting down at an actual drum kit playing.
And then he recorded them. And you used those takes.
Correct.
Yes. Because there were some songs I'd say, this is going to be this is going to be an album, all these songs that we're recording. And we can either touch on that or not. But we had a handful of songs, 4 to 5 songs that we had actually rehearsed pretty consistently as a band. But then there's more that we hadn't had as much chance before we scheduled the tracking time, because we did record the drums. The only thing we did outsourced at all was we recorded the drums with Brian David, because he gets killer drum sounds and just knows how to get it, and they sound phenomenal.
That's right, Brian David, Anthem Recording and Playing.
Yeah, shout out. He's great guy. He's so fun to work with too. He's just a good hang. But yeah, there were
2 first names.
Yeah,
I want to add something.
2 first names.
Brian David.
Yeah.
Nobody else with his middle name.
I don't know his middle name.
Aloysius.
I don't know what it is either.
Sorry, Brian. Don't know you that well. And Austin's also worked with him on his solo stuff a lot.
Correct.
And so he had a good relationship with them, so we trusted him. And but yeah, there was moments where Ray was sitting down drum kit, and it's like a lot of times I'll send him a song with maybe programmed ideas on it, programmed drums, and he just will air drum it, and he'll be working, and he'll think through the parts in his head, and then he'll just come into the studio and sits down and just plays it.
And that's what he did.
And that's what he did. And it's just, and there's parts in it that you're just like, dude, that's just insane. Brian is a drummer himself, and there's moments where Ray would play something, and Brian just would turn around and just look at us that was crazy. That was, so there was a lot of those moments, and so I'm really, proud of what he brought to the table as well, and helped elevate. And what was cool was also the relationship between Logan and Ray. Logan, there's a lot of drum parts that he wrote initially, and Logan is an amazing drummer in his own right, and it was cool to have parts established and then hand them off to Ray, and then there's a lot of times where Ray would be like, hey, so I'm doing this, is this what you did? So that interaction and just them being able to bounce ideas off each other, and him playing bass obviously is able to really lock in with the drums as well, and that really just makes that relationship even tighter. So that's
yeah,
absolutely.
Well, let's so reminder, Voyeur, go grab it.
Yeah.
So what's for the future? What are we talking? What do you got planned now?
So I can speak to that a little bit. I won't share too much because, of course, I want to make proper announcements.
Right.
But as Kalen mentioned previously, we do have a full-length record coming. It is 10 songs, and we've been laboring over those over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And like Kalen said, they're a composite of all sorts of different textures and styles and influences sort of brought in by different people, and so it's created this very interesting and dynamic collection of songs that there are a lot of touch points, some very heavy touch points, some softer and more melodic touch points, some I guess even ambient and sort of post-rock touch points, so not just straight rock and roll all the time. So I think this is going to be a record that's not only going from a narrative and lyrical topical standpoint, going to have a lot of interesting things for people to learn and analyze, but also just there's going to be a lot of fun music for everybody on here. I think there's going to be a song that someone's going to dig no matter what they're into.
Yeah, it's an eclectic mix, but I still feel like it is cohesive.
Yeah.
Which is what I was worried about for a long time. It's like there's a lot of varieties and textures. And speaking to Austin's lyrical content, like I'm not like, lyrics have been for me the point where I've always felt really weak. And so to hand off the reins to him and like him just come back with, you know, his lyric sheets with full explanations of the meaning of the songs and like everything really organized and well thought out. It's like, dude, hell yeah, man. it's like very like thought, like so much thought. And they're so intelligent, accessible, but still so intelligent. And I just really appreciate that about him. And I think it just elevated the songs to another level to where the guys who are more like the bookwormy lyric people, that they'll have something to digest there. But at the same time, if you're just, you know, listen to the song because they like the song, they'll have stuff.
That's right. I mean, I really do seek out to tell stories. I really do, you know, try to place myself in that way and do it from an authentic and genuine sort of place. And so I do think that that's going to come across on all of these songs for sure.
When you write these songs or stories or however they come out, plays, because sometimes it felt like you were when you were delivering your music, it was almost like you were in a musical.
That's an interesting comparison, and I'm here for it.
Not mad at it.
Well, first off, who are you thinking about? Are you thinking about like whenever you're talking, are you thinking about you, or are you thinking about the person listening to it?
So I don't usually write from the perspective of the listener. Usually I'm writing from either an autobiographical sort of place, or I'm writing about someone I know, or a shared experience or a lived experience. So oftentimes I may take inspiration from something that happened to me, or from someone I know, or maybe just, you know, a situational sort of scenario. And so this record in particular is largely going to be not autobiographical. But it is very much about people that I've come across and about things I've seen just either in, you know, the culture that we all live in, you know, today, especially with social media and politics and everything, or really just about some of the things that I feel like is just leading us away from the gift of living, right, and the gift of love that we all, you know, really should be reveling in at all,
right,
you know, whenever possible, right? So. All these songs are realistically stories about that, or, you know, either about how we're moving towards it or how we're moving away from it, and just kind of the dichotomy of those two concepts.
That's great. Well, I do like the idea of someone kind of unfolding a story at times, and then or how they wrote a song. But I also like the mystery whenever they don't.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Whenever you release this, have you ever thought about, you probably haven't even thought this far, maybe you have, but like that stuff you brought to him to understand the story a little further.
Yeah.
Would you ever release that?
Yeah, so like certainly like annotations or like
Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes. Like Silent Planet has been really good about that in the past, like releasing direct annotations about what things we're referring to. And I'm certainly open to that kind of thing.
That's cool.
I don't write so heady and so like obtusely that it'd be like, what in the hell was he talking about when he wrote this? But there definitely are like nuggets and like Easter eggs in the lyrics where you're going to be like, oh, he's calling back to this, or this is a reference to this specific thing or whatever. And so some annotations probably would be helpful for that.
How far down the road are we in this 10 album song or 10 song album? Yeah.
We're quite close.
Yeah. So musically, without like there like subtle textural things or like little edits or like little punch-ins, I'd say musically like 90 to 95% there.
Nice.
And then we're tracking vocals kind of when we can get into the studio. We're using good old Chris
Sabbath's
place. So whenever we can get in,
work.
yeah. And whenever we can get in there to finish the vocals, we've got a couple songs done there, and we're
Okay.
cranking out schedule to get. But we've got a good workflow, and I know we're at a good pace to where I know we'll get through them here pretty quick.
That's awesome. And I know you can't necessarily. Well, let's focus on this Friday's release. But
Yeah.
what do you think? The next year it'll be out, right?
Oh yeah.
2025.
I mean, we're if not the end of this year.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So it's possibly before the end of 2024.
yeah.
At the rate we're moving at, it's going to be sooner rather than later. We're excited to get it out.
Yeah.
Cool. And do you have a name for that record?
I'm not gonna announce it yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna wait for the proper whatever announcement. But
Cool.
yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, anything you want to touch on before we head out?
I mean, I can always talk about the single and what it's about.
Yeah. Let's talk about
that'd be worth.
Sure. Yeah. So as Josh mentioned, the song is called Voyeur, and it is specifically about a frenetic internal struggle, one that I think all of us have happened or have happened to us at one point or another, where you just feel like you're in this dialogue with yourself where you're talking to a brick wall and you can't seem to get through to your thoughts to be able to make a rational decision. And so this particular song was inspired by the end of a relationship that I experienced back in 2017, where I was so conflicted about how to move on and how to heal from the ending of this relationship that it was extremely abrupt and was not by my choice. So when I got to that point, it was okay. Do I wallow? Do I act out in a selfish and an seemingly kind of way, or do I can I find kind of this inner strength to heal and move forward positively from it? And so I liken that experience to this sort of this Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing, where it's there's two versions of yourself and you're trying to kind of contest with both, right? And it very much felt like at that time, because there was so much darkness clouding this situation, that the good part that's in me was internally mirrored or not mirrored, but was I guess unable to get through to the bad part, and that part was definitely taking precedence over the other. So in this very literal conception of this song, the song is representing you are standing. The good part of me is standing on the outside of this mirror, looking into this room in which the bad version of myself, the bad version, the person that's not acting the way that you would want to be, is the person who is actually visible to the outside world, right? And is having this experience and not handling it very well. And so it's like I said, it is the kind of scenario where you would I guess you could almost describe it as schizophrenia, or a very much a psychological break, and it's meant to be manifested in that kind of way. So those sorts of moments in your life where you just feel like I cannot get through to myself, I cannot win this internal struggle right now, and I feel I'm at odds. It is a snapshot of that moment, and because it's a snapshot of that moment, there isn't really a resolution. There isn't a this is how to fix it, this is how to move forward, this is how to prevent that from happening again.
You're just in the moment.
It just is. And I think it's something that everybody can relate to.
Yeah.
You feel that you talked about how this is somewhat autobiographical, or you're telling it from your perspective. Do you feel like you being a songwriter and an artist, this helps you get through it, documenting it?
Definitely, yeah, I would say so. It's easily the most cathartic and I guess not performative, but I mean it's definitely the most logical way for me to process those sorts of things.
Even in the performative side of things,
Sure.
sometimes faking through the things I don't want to do but making myself do, and almost doing it with a cheerful heart even though it sucks, helps me. It can be cathartic in itself, right? It could, saying, God, I don't want to take this next step, I don't want to breathe this next breath, but what am I gonna do, die here? I gotta keep moving.
That's right.
I gotta keep moving. And then I know this is what someone that's healthy would do. I guess I'll try this for a second, just to say, see, I can still do it. Okay, all right, now maybe I kind of want to do it this time. And I feel like that's what good art does. And I can see you doing that in the way you perform, and in the way. That's why I said it felt like a musical sometimes. I felt like you were taking those steps.
Absolutely. I mean, I want art to be confrontational at times. I want the art.
It's got to provoke.
It's got to provoke. At times, it should be challenging. It should be abrasive, even at times. You know, because I mean, I do think that there is a validity in something authentic like that. You know, like I said, like a shared experience or a lived experience. And I will say, in the past, when I was just getting started as a songwriter, I really tried to, you know, write songs from this place of like, you know, there's always this positive resolution, or there's this bigger thing that we're working towards. And granted, while that's still true, I think maybe that there was a sense of arrogance about it. And I was like, you know what?
I got all the answers.
Yeah, it's like, I have all the answers. I'm not, you know, I am your, you know, resource or whatever. Since then, I very much have backed away from that and have pivoted towards, I'm just sharing a experience. I'm just telling a story, or telling, you know, or talking about something that's important to me. And I don't want to in any way, like, you know, tell someone this is the way it has to be, or that, you know, like that I'm, you know, especially not that I'm like better than anybody or anything, or that I have all the answers, because I don't. I'm certainly, you know, as flawed as everyone else.
What a really cool thought that. I like that you said it. I'm not saying it to like poke fun or even try to break it apart. I like the idea that sometimes when you wrap a thought up in this bow and art and everything, you're kind of playing. Like, listen to me, look at me, look what I did. And sometimes it's probably great. Much like, I'm not saying that if you do that, and I know that you're not saying that if you do that, that's something wrong or problematic. But it is cool to think that there is art that just can be uncomfortable, offensive, for the right reasons, I would hope. You know, but obviously good art can be offensive for the wrong reasons too. Like, that's a tricky line, but I see you kind of finding those margins of like, where are people hurting, and where have I hurt, and how can I help them maybe see the step I took, whether you like where I'm at or not.
That's right.
Maybe you can see where I am, and let it be either a lighthouse in the darkness or a warning sign to don't enter. Here I am right now, and I exist, and this is whether it's Boyer. Look at me.
That's right.
Look at me. I'm here. I don't know if it's right, wrong, or whatever, but look at it. And I think that's what ADORN is. Like, I think you want to know if ADORN is for you. Go look at it. Go listen to it. Go feel it. Go experience it. I mean, if you've made it this far into this podcast, I don't know what you're doing. Go do it. I can't wait to really listen to it now that you've said that, and I can't wait to see what you guys do next. You have a website and all that stuff. I guess go to the social media. There's a link tree probably there.
Yeah, it's just ADORN Band on Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that.
Perfect.
So we're
I'm sure we'll do a website here in the near future, a proper website, but we don't have one yet.
Yeah, I don't even know if you have to have one anymore. Logan, come over here, just so they can see your freaking face. So can go. That used to be such a kind little.
And now we can point out the fact we accidentally wore the same shirt.
It's their favorite band. Yeah. Isn't that cute? All right. Well, thanks for coming on the Youngblood podcast. You have anything else, Kalen?
No, man. Appreciate you having us, and thanks for doing this with us.
Yep, thank you for having us.
This is how we're going to end every podcast from here on out.
Yeah, love it.
You're wearing the same shirt. We're wearing the same hat. You guys wearing the same underwear or something? What's going on?
We don't know.
Let's figure it out. All right, we're going to figure that out. Subscribe to our Patreon if you want to see that. Take it easy.
Bye.